I am a thinking, compassionate, empathetic person, and I just don't have politics at the top of my head.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. The left is upset this week about the massive illegal alien border crisis. Well, you know, they don't call it that.
On the southern border, another round of migrants illegally crossing into the U.S. as the Homeland Security Chief is grilled by Congress why he's refusing to call the record border surge a crisis.
After a surge in arrivals that began in January when President Biden took office.
Yes, the surge of arrivals has CBS concerned that the border issue is distracting people from Biden taking a victory lap for getting legislation passed.
Good morning, Tony. That situation at the border is becoming a big political problem for the Biden administration and is in some ways distracting from the focus that they're trying to keep this week and next week on the American Rescue Plan.
Yes, that's the biggest concern about the border surge. It's distracting people from the president celebrating the newly passed COVID relief pork bill. It's so distracting. I wonder if the media will ever pepper Sleepy Joe with some questions about it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Joe hasn't had any press conferences yet, and I'm sure the media is really upset by this.
You know, I think that the lack of press conferences is because he doesn't want to be dominating the news right now. He wants to get back to a new sense of normal.
ABC's chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl making excuses for Biden's lack of press conferences. You know, he's just the president. He doesn't want to make any news. He just wants to take his victory laps.
You know, Joe Biden doesn't feel like he needs to be out there dominating the news every day.
As a journalist, you might think Karl would want more access to the president, not less. But when the media had limited access to Biden as president-elect, Biden knew who his friends were, the national press. NBC's White House correspondent Jeff Bennett admitted this week on C-SPAN that Biden's team manipulates access to make sure they get those friendly national lefty reporters.
And frankly, by doing that, the White House comms, or now they're White House comms, but then the Biden comms teams, they were basically doing their job, right? They had a message that they wanted to get forward, and they were trying to protect their principle. They didn't know the questions that we were going to ask, but they certainly knew who we were. All of the reporters were known quantities, so there was no chance that they were going to call on, you know, some local reporter from some unnamed newspaper who was going to ask Joe Biden a potentially difficult or uncomfortable question.
Goodness knows this president shouldn't have to answer any uncomfortable questions, especially about that border.
What I would do as president is several more things, because things have changed. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum.
Mentioning that comment might make him uncomfortable, so I'm sure they'll avoid that. The other thing the leftist media likes to avoid is correcting themselves. This week we found out the quote published by the Washington Post, "Find the fraud," is more of an accurate description for locating their paper on the newsstand, since that published line was never actually uttered by Donald Trump, like they previously claimed. And of course, lefty media echoed this quote with glee just 2 months ago.
And the president's false claims of voter fraud continue to be in the headlines. In a late December phone call, President Trump encouraged an election official here in Georgia to, quote, "find the fraud."
As Congress weighs impeaching Mr. Trump, there are new reports that the president interfered in Georgia's election results beyond his now public phone call to Georgia's Secretary of State. The Washington Post reported yesterday that President Trump called a Georgia election investigator and pressured him to, quote, "find the fraud."
You think PBS or ABC might want to issue some corrections on air to their viewers on Monday? No, they had other things to discuss. Contact WeatherTech, give them a correction on where they're spending their advertising dollars. Now, you may think that the leftist media just spreads fake news and is inconsistent, and, well, yeah, you'd be right. But CNN's Don Lemon on Wednesday claimed he doesn't demonize people because he's just so darn loving.
I love you, brother. I love you. More relationships like this so that we treat people as humans. We see the humanity in each other. And not as some other and demonizing other people.
He doesn't demonize people unless you're critical of the Biden administration, like literally the next day.
Why don't you just be a decent human being and stop trying to be so negative and get Dr. Fauci or Joe Biden? Guess what? Here's the thing. Joe Biden is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, if you don't recognize that, you're not a decent human being. Not like Don Lemon is. Just ask him.
I am a thinking, compassionate, empathetic person, and I just don't have politics at the top of my head.
Yeah, said one of the most biased, lefty, condescending people in the media. The man who told people this week the type of Jesus that they need to put in their home.
And I think we should start with a true depiction of what Jesus looked like and put that in your home. Either a black Jesus or a brown Jesus, because we knew Jesus looked more like a Muslim or someone who was dark rather than someone who was blonde, a blonde-looking carpenter.
Well, thanks, Don. You're just so knowledgeable about Jesus. I'm glad you can tell us what needs to be done.
But here's the thing. Jesus Christ, if that's who you believe in, Jesus Christ, admittedly was not perfect when he was here on this earth.
Yeah, he was perfect. That was kind of the whole point. Maybe Don just shouldn't be lecturing others on Jesus. Just a thought. I'm Eric Shiner for MRC-TV, asking you to support us by doing some shopping at the MRC Store. There's some great stuff there. Check it out. Visit MRCTV.org for the latest videos, stories, and information. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos on your favorite platform. Rumble, Twitter, Clapper, Facebook. There's so many to spread these videos around. I'll be back with some more leftist lunacy next week.